Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. Last night, Napoli got 3 points against Pisa, and I think it's safe to say that it was a lot more difficult than what we all had expected. Or maybe not, because the week started off in a bit of a weird way. Getting assigned Mazzoleni in the VAR. Guys, we know the history that this guy has with us. Let's not forget that he was the one that said that Marek Hamsik, of all people, was a player that he didn't like, but not in a sporting kind of way, in terms of personality. I mean, you have to be a really strange person to think that Marek Hamsik is literally the nicest guy probably in football. And let's not forget what he did to us in Beijing all those years ago in the Super Cup final. So let me get straight to it, guys. You might think that if you're a Juventus fan, Napoli got away with some penalties. Guys, no, we didn't. Absolutely not. In fact, I think out of the two teams, we were by far the most hard done by. Look, the penalty that they claimed in the first half, it clearly hit the hand of the Pisa player before Kevin De Bruyne did a step on foot. About that, guys, I'm just going to open a small parenthesis. It is now the third or fourth time that Kevin De Bruyne is late to a tackle. The other times it was kind of bad tackles that were between yellow and red cards. We did talk about them on the show in the past. This time it's something that potentially leads to a penalty. So we have to start thinking about whether, Kevin De Bruyne needs to be given specific instructions near the penalty area not to do things like that. But I think it speaks to him just being that half a second slower than he's been used to all his career, as now he's aging, but he needs to come to terms with that and adapt. Now, moving back to the topic of referee, guys, that was never a penalty. But Mazzoleni in the VAR calls over the referee to check on this, which is crazy, because doesn't he see that there's a handball right before? And when he was showing the referee the images, he only started showing the referee the foul that De Bruyne had done without showing him what came before. And I think it's the referee that then instructed the VAR to say, well, let me take a look at what happened 2 seconds earlier with the handball. Also because the Napoli players put their hands up and he could see it in the video that they were claiming something, which is always why it's good for players to put their hands up just in case. And they had no other choice but to show him the handball. And when they showed him the handball, guys, when the people in the VAR room showed him the handball, it wasn't even the best angle to see it. They showed some zoomed out version where you can't really see what the ball is doing, instead of another camera angle that the TV direction was able to show us earlier, which clearly shows from the side view that this was a handball. Guys, this is clearly the work of people in the VAR room trying to sway the referee by either not giving him the full picture, or when he does ask for it, not putting him in the best possible view and conditions to make a decision. Thankfully, the referee had a bit of common sense, and the referee on the field was, I think, a bit more under control of his allegiances, let's put it that way. Then there was the non-penalty that wasn't given to Højlund, who gets fouled in the box. I mean, it's super clear that this should have been a penalty. That doesn't get given. Then there was the penalty that was given to Belkema, which, guys, that's never a penalty, because the rule of the game is that if it hits your leg or any other part of your body first and then your own arm, it's not a penalty, because it's like a deflection that you can't really control. Even if your hand is in a position that's not natural, such as Belkema's, even if that's the case, if it first hits another part of your body and then your hand, it's not a penalty. So again, here, the rules were not applied as per how they should have done. I think Pisa were, however, on their side, unlucky not to get a penalty in one instance, which was actually when we scored our first goal. Maybe there was some kind of foul there at the start of that action. All I'm trying to say here, guys, is that the referees, the one on the field and VAR together, they were super poor today. And the problem with that is that depending on which instances you go and pick up, you have a possible thesis on why this guy favors one team over another. And in the hands of a Juventus fan, an Inter fan, or a Napoli fan, they could sway things one way or another. They could put a narrative one way or another. Guys, we need better referees. Okay, this is, I think, going to be a super tight race for the Scudetto. We can't have people that don't look at things objectively. Mazzoleni, guys, this guy cannot be with Napoli games after his history, number one. And we just need better support from the VAR. It cannot be that the one on the field is actually getting hindered by VAR and getting called to look at things when they're clearly not a mistake, or when there's a mistake, they don't get called in. It's a mess. It's a complete mess. I'm not just saying it for Napoli, guys. I'm saying it because I also saw it in other games, in the Juventus game, in the Milan game, both in favor and against those teams. So I'm not saying that we are getting helped or other teams are getting helped. I'm just saying all the referees are so bad. So I just want to get that out of the way. Now let's get to kind of the football. You guys, really poor first half. I know we were leading 1-0 at the end of that, but really poor. Technically, the game was really Serie B. And I'm being generous here. We couldn't string 2 or 3 passes together. It was painful to watch, actually. And to show you how bad technically this game was from our point of view and, you know, based on our potential, just think of the mistake that then Di Lorenzo did in the second half, where he's in the box under no pressure, and what does he do? He, instead of clearing the ball the way it needs to be done or finding a pass the way it needs to be done, he very lazily just kicks the ball straight to an opponent for them to score the 3-2, puts the team under intense amount of pressure in the last few minutes. It's worrying that he made a mistake against this type of opposition as well. So look, I hope this trend doesn't continue because we don't really have that many options on the right hand side. I do wonder if the fact that we were so bad technically is also down to the condition of the field. I mean, from video, it didn't look like it was in the best state, with pieces of grass and mud flying up every time. Visually, it looked weird. I don't know if too dry or too wet, but definitely it didn't look like it was in the right conditions, the field, and maybe that had a factor. But look, something for everybody to think about, no? For both Conte, the players, and the people in charge of maintenance of the ground. Now, from one fullback to another, let's go to Spinazzola, guys, who for me has been the standout player so far at the start of this season. I mean, he is the only player that from last season has really been able to promote himself compared to what he was the year before. The year before, he was seen as Oliveira's replacement and only played when we were in some kind of emergency at the back. Otherwise, it was very clear who the back four was. This year, Spinazzola has started most of the games and has been instrumental. The assist against Fiorentina to set Højlund up. This time a goal that was very, very good. Not many fullbacks are able to do that too. First of all, cut inside, because it's kind of rare for fullbacks to be playing in their wrong foot kind of position, almost like a winger. But to then cut inside, hit the shot on target from so far, it's not something that fullbacks do. It's not something that Oliveira can help us with, and that's why he's starting, because when Spinazzola is on form, if he's in that kind of Euro 2020, 2021 form, then he becomes one of the best fullbacks in Italy. I'm not going to say Europe, but at least in Italy, he becomes one of the best. And, at least he is someone that is at his top condition, unlike many other players. And, you need that, right? It would be super tough if nobody was in condition. At least we have a few players like Spinazzola that are in condition. Another standout player of yesterday, guys, is Alex Meret. A bit surprising, maybe, that he started, because only last week he was ruled out for a muscle injury. So maybe, just 1 week later feels kind of rushed. But look, he was incredible with his reflex saves. 2 of them. One, I think, wouldn't have counted anyways because it was an offside. But 2 reflex saves, really out of this world. And that's what he is best at. And we needed that today. We needed a goalkeeper that is one of the best at those kind of things. We know his weaknesses, right? We know, for example, long-range shots are not Meret's strong point. For example, the game against Como, where we have to play against Nico Paz, I wouldn't play Meret, because Nico Paz is going to shoot from outside, and we know that that's not his strong point. But maybe when you play against a team like Pisa that don't have midfielders capable of that kind of thing, and they are those that actually put dangerous balls into the box, maybe you want someone like Meret that does a reaction save. Maybe you want someone like Milinkovic-Savic that comes and picks up the ball when it comes from across. I don't know. Something for Antonio Conte to consider. But for sure, in this game, it was the right call. Which is strange, because we conceded 2 goals. But anyways, none of them were his fault. Another player that stepped up today was Billy Gilmour with the first goal, guys. He did something that showed a lot of football intelligence to fake the shot, go on his left and take it with his weaker foot. Very, very good goal. Happy for Billy to start and for him to also get his name on the score sheet. It's not often that happens. And compared to Lobotka, guys, I think he gives an extra threat in the final third. Even though Lobo was instrumental, for example, in the game against Cagliari, to pick up the ball and drive at the defense, and that led to somehow us scoring, I think Gilmour has a bit more presence in that final third, with his passing, and he's a bit more direct. He's shown that he can also find the back of the net. So, very good. Having said that, when Lobo came on, you could tell that as a holding midfielder, which is the main role of this player, especially when you play a 4-1-4-1 and you are the one right in front of the defense, as a holding midfielder, Lobo is superior. He's got more strength to hold off tackles. He is able to intercept the ball a bit more. So defensively and ball protection wise, Lobo better. Also from a tempo kind of way, the way that he picks up passes, that he controls the play, Lobo is just, the best in the business. Him and Busquets, basically. And now Busquets is, on his road to retirement. I think Lobo is the best in this position. And so look, it's hard to, it's hard on Gilmore to compare him to that. He's not going to be like Lobo, but it's nice that when he comes on, whilst he cannot match Lobo in that thing, he's able to still contribute positively in something else, which is us going forward. And we needed that today. Now, we're on the topic of players that had to step in and step up today. Of course, we're going to talk about Luca. What a good goal by Luca. I'm happy for him, even though some of you guys might think I have some kind of grudge or something personal against him. Absolutely not, guys. I'm happy for Luca. I think it was a great goal. I like the fact that it wasn't a header, because we need to see more of this. We need to see that he has more dimensions to his game and not just headers. And I think that it will also help him because now defenders don't know whether, they need to just prepare for a header in the box, or whether they also need to, be wary of Luca's shooting, and the fact that he did manage to find himself a bit of space in the deep, so to say. So he adds an element to his game, a little bit of unpredictability, something that's maybe not part of his core, but it will help him, as defenders will need to think about how to best position themselves. And I think he did a step up as well in terms of how he dialogues with his teammates, ball protection. There was an improvement on that today. So I think he's heading in the right direction. This goal is very, very important for him and for Napoli, and also for the trust that the teammates will start to have in him. Instead, there were some people on the bench that I think will be a little bit disappointed, guys. Noah Lang, Neres, that duo there, which I think could have been deadly against a team like Pisa. And to be honest, if you're not going to play them against Pisa, when are you going to play them? Especially for Noah Lang, that hasn't really seen the field at all with Napoli. At least with Neres, we know what he can do. For Noah Lang, it's worrying, because what do you need to do to impress Antonio Conte? Clearly not something during the game, because Conte doesn't even let you have minutes. So is this something that's happening on the training ground? Look, if Conte saw good things on the training ground, he would be playing Noah Lang. So is it an attitude problem? Is it a physicality problem? Is it a technical problem? Understanding with his teammates, so a more tactical thing? Guys, I don't know. We don't know. We're not at the training sessions. For sure, we cannot judge Noah Lang from the outside, because there is nothing in the public domain for us to judge. But look, one day his time will come. It even came last year for Ngonje, right? And what he needs to do when that time comes is that he needs to just do the simple things right, track back, show that he's reliable. If he can get a goal and assist, fine, better. But I think he just needs to convince Conte that he's not a liability. That's number one. Then he has time to convince Conte that he's the guy, But clearly, I think Conte for now puts him in that potential liability bucket, because the way I interpret it is that he's scared to use him. Scared that maybe this guy doesn't track back, Scared that he loses the ball and allows the other team to do a counterattack. Otherwise, he would get played. So, look, let's see what happens. But Noah Lang, bit of a mystery man right now. And finally, speaking about players, I want to close it off with Buongiorno, guys. I hope he's fine. As of this morning when I'm recording the video, there's no news on how he is. But yeah, just just a shame really, because he's as strong as he is fragile. And maybe, you know, he's the type of player that we just need to be a bit more careful on how we use him, because of course I want to see him on the field, but maybe 3 games in a row in the space of a week is a bit too much for his body, especially after coming back from injury. Maybe today was a day where you play Juan Jesus and Belkema from the start, right? But instead, you know, we decided to play Buongiorno. So something for Conte to think about for the rest of the season. Hopefully, though, this is not a big setback, and he's there for the game against Milan. Which brings me to the last topic, which is the league and Milan and everything. So I'm not gonna sit here and give you guys predictions for what I think will happen with the Milan-Napoli game, and that's because if you guys have been following my Napoli Talk Predictor game, Super Brew, link in the description. You have to become a member of Club Partenope to play, and then there will be instructions on how to participate. If you've been following that, I am so bad at making predictions. I am all the way towards the back end of the table, so I'm not gonna sit here and talk about that. You guys are much better than me, clearly, at predictions. But what I will say is that it's an important game, that we need to just try in the next few days to recover some of our energies. And when we play this game, it's not about playing good. It's not about, you know, anything particular. It's just about the result. Going away to San Siro is always difficult. We struggled even in the times when Maradona was there. We struggled when we had Spalletti and we were dominating the league by 15 points. So going to the San Siro against Milan, always difficult. In fact, the baseline is that we should be losing this game, you know, just based off 2 strong teams. One of them is at home. Clearly they have the advantage, right? The baseline is that. So my thinking is, if we can get a tie, it's good. Okay? Like, let's not, you know, next week get into a depression if Napoli loses 2 points against Milan. Obviously, I would be upset if we do lose, because I think we are slightly better than them, and we should never, you know, be okay with a defeat. But for a tie, I mean, I would be okay with that. I would be okay. I just hope it's a clean game, that the referees don't get involved, so that there's nothing like that to talk about afterwards, and it's just about what happens on the field. And I hope that we don't, you know, complicate our lives with silly mistakes. You know, if we're gonna go down, let it be because the other team played better than us, not because we were not at our best. I think it would be very tricky for us to accept another game where there is another mistake. You know, I really hope that doesn't happen. Anyways, guys, with that, closing this off. Sorry for not going live yesterday, but work days are tricky. But yeah, with that, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the section below what your comments are, and smash that like button if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and Forza Napoli sempre. Ciao.